Howdy, folks. It is I, Billy, once again. And depending on whether or not I upload another video, this is either my second video or my third video. Fact of the matter is, in my first video, I gave a few tips in order to help people with alcohol dependency, alcohol abuse, or flat out alcoholism. In doing so, I had mentioned a book, and that book completely changed my perspective, and it really helped lead me to sobriety. And I want to discuss that book very briefly and the circumstances that led to me buying that book. But before I do, I want to make a short little mention here. You could see I'm sitting in my car. You could see I have my work uniform on. I work at the airport and I have a license here in Europe. Now, that is important to know because when my whole life came crashing down, when I got my last DUI, I was leaving my job. I had stopped with a buddy at the bar for a few drinks, and I recall actually telling my buddy, I said, hey, I got to get heading home. It's getting late. I don't want to risk getting another DUI. I've already had one, and it's, I don't want that trouble. I don't want that hassle. I don't want to lose everything I have. I headed home that evening. I wound up getting pulled over. I passed the field sobriety tests, but I took a breathalyzer, and I was just over the limit. Now, I begged and pleaded with the officer. I said, I realized that I did wrong, and I really thought that I was under the limit, and I know the error of my ways, and please, if you could just have someone come pick me up, please. I mean, I was almost to the point of tears. The officer wasn't lenient. I wound up getting a DUI, and that because I had previous one, I wound up going to jail. And it wasn't just the fact of the matter that I went to jail. I lost an outstanding job that I had, the best job I ever had, with the best coworkers I've ever had. I had wonderful benefits. I had fun at work. I just absolutely loved the job. And this folly of my thinking, this error, completely destroyed everything. Alcohol once again. I tried to do the right thing. It didn't work out that way. Like I said in my last video, if you do anything, even if you think you're okay, just please do yourself, and do many, many innocent people a huge solid, and just don't drink and drive. Even if it costs you more for a taxi, believe me, if you get nailed with a DUI, I mean, they said it to me so often in counseling, it doesn't really hit home until it happens, or until someone close to you really discusses it. It ruined my life. It completely destroyed everything I had, and because of it, I wound up moving to Europe. Now, I wanted to explain that because that's the importance of me being in my uniform, being in a car. It was a long, difficult struggle to get back to this point, to be working in Europe, to have, I had to start the license from square one because I didn't have a U.S. license to convert. So just please, you do not want to do that to yourself. Avoid drinking and driving at all costs. Now, back to the book that I discussed in my other video. The hidden or the unexpected joy of being sober. This is important to discuss. I actually brought the book with me here. The author, Catherine Gray. This book had such an influence on my life and my sobriety that I had actually took the time to sit down and write a letter to Ms. Catherine Gray, to which she very kindly responded. And, I have so many pages marked here. As I was reading this book, so many things came up where I just thought, wow, I'm not alone. Wow, she knows how it is. Boy, that's like reading my own life story. So if you're struggling with alcoholism, or if you even think, she mentions in the book as well, when you first start, you don't realize you're going down this path until it's possibly too late. And then you have to admit it to yourself. It's very important that you see that you have a problem, or that you're even at the beginning stages of a problem. Very important. Once again, I highly recommend this book, The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober by Ms. Catherine Gray. Very quick backstory for those still tuned with me. This book, I picked it up spontaneously at the airport, but the events leading up to this book were rather metaphysical. You see, it was in January, I don't recall what year, but the end of November the previous year was the last time I had gotten drunk. I can't even explain exactly what happened. I remember I was at home drinking whiskey. I got some bad news. I was actually in a good mood when I was drinking the whiskey. I got some bad news, and because of the intoxication, it kind of escalated. I was then in a very, very bad mood. My girlfriend at the time came home. We got in a huge argument. I don't even know what about. It was something very pointless and silly, but because of the alcohol, it escalated, and it was almost the end of that relationship. The most amazing woman I had ever met, and it was almost the end of the relationship. The next couple of days, I really had to fight and struggle to show how much I loved her, that this intoxication had such a detrimental effect on my thinking and my actions. I fought with her. She stayed with me, gave me another chance. There was a time after that, we were at a Christmas market in Germany where I ate some of that, drank some of the Glühwein, which is like a glug or like a spiced wine. And even in taking a sip, I had recalled the huge argument I had with her and how we almost broke up. I almost ruined yet another relationship with alcohol, and it didn't taste right anymore. A couple months later, I had a vacation planned alone, headed to Ireland of all places. Now, in my days where I had major alcohol problems, I could throw back 10 to 15 Guinness a night. I mean, no joke. 10 Guinness for me was no problem over the course of, 4 hours or so? Not a problem. It was actually the only alcohol that I actually enjoyed tasting. This is important to know because I was in Ireland. I was in Dublin, made my way out to Galway, and I had the option there to go to the bar. And this realizing how many near fatal mistakes I made and how many relationships I've lost and every other thing that I've lost due to alcohol, I still had to fight the urge to go into a pub and have a Guinness because I knew, it's very rarely just one, like everyone says. I fought the urge, and I wound up going to bed early. It took a lot of strength. It was extremely difficult. But that next morning, I woke up, I think, between 3 and 4 in the morning in Galway. I drove down 2 hours, an outstandingly beautiful morning. Drove down 2 hours to the cliffs of Moher. Just unbelievable. And when I got there, because it was so early, it was just about dawn, I was the only person there. And I had the entire cliffs of Moher to myself, and I sat and I meditated, and it really hit me. It really struck me. I thought, had I gone into the pub the night before, as the sun rose over the ocean and I stood upon these cliffs with puffins flying around, it's still to this day one of the most magical moments in my life. And I couldn't help but sit there and think, had I gone into a pub and gotten drunk, I would have had a lot less money. I probably would have felt like crap. I probably would have laid in bed the whole day. But because I avoided that, because I was strong, I had, to this day, one of the most magical mornings in my life. And when I left the Cliffs of Moher, headed back, I was so unbelievably thankful that I made that decision not to drink. I wound up, the next morning, stood up, went to the airport, and that's where I seen this book. Bought this book at the airport, started reading it as I was waiting for my flight. And, I had to fly about 2 hours from Ireland to Hamburg, Germany, and then from Hamburg, Germany, another 3-4 hours with the train, and then another half hour with the bus. So I had plenty of time, and this book was so inspiring, so outstanding that I read the entire book on that way home, and it just a couple of times I actually shed tears because it's just, you know, it was just amazing. And in the postscript here, you know, she says, you know, if I can, you can. And that's what I said in my last video, and I want you to please bear that in mind. Never forget that. A lot of people, you know, even myself in the past, I failed with sobriety because I didn't believe in myself. You have to believe in yourself. Never let someone else tear you down. Realize that you are strong. Realize that you have the potential. You have the strength. You have to believe it because it's up to you. There's outstanding counselors out there. There's outstanding authors out there. Forgive me. There's people that can give you, I could tell you everything that I know, all the mistakes I made, how much alcohol destroyed my life, how many things it's ruined, how wonderful I feel without it. But really, it's up to you to look into the mirror and find the underlying factors behind alcoholism, what led you to alcoholism. Think about the, you know, things that made you happy before you started drinking, hobbies, and just go to work on that. Above all, believe in yourself. Know that you can do it. Because I was bad. Really, really, really bad. I mean, 10 Guinness a night, multiple times a week, that's pretty hefty. And that's not even the half of it, friends. If I could do it, you could do it. Believe in yourself. Check out this book if need be. Get the counseling if you need it. Do what you got to do for yourself. Check out an AA program, Alcoholics Anonymous. Do what you got to do for you. And believe me, when the day comes when you celebrate that first week, that first month, that first year, it gets easier, it gets better, and then you ask yourself, why didn't I do this earlier? Bear that in mind. Do that for me. But more importantly, if you know, depending on who you are, even if you're a casual drinker watching this, do not drink and drive, please. You could destroy your own life. You could, innocent people, I mean, families with children are out there driving. You know, it's not worth it. Believe me, it's not worth it. You don't want that on your soul. You don't want that on your conscience. Peace and love, and think about the words that I've given to you. Thank you.